What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be trying to flip cars for a profit. Let's get right into it. So the first step is getting the actual car. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I stumbled upon this listing for a 2014 Outback for $1,200. It was running and driving, but it was crashed. Fortunately, there was no frame damage. So me and my dad went to go get it. And when we took a look, the damage was worse than I thought. I didn't know that the whole control arm was bent backwards, which moved the wheel about 2 inches to the rear. It meant that I needed to 100% replace the wheel bearing and I needed to buy a new controller. There was some upsides though. There was no radiator or AC damage, which means I didn't need to replace any types of hoses, pipes, and I didn't need to touch anything mechanically with the car. It also meant the car ran great, drove fine, and I didn't need to touch any of that. It also had some pretty good accommodations. It had heated seats, a stereo system, Bluetooth, it had cruise control, it had tons of room in the back for road trips or camping, and honestly for $1,000 I practically stole it from them. And yes, I haggled them down from $1,200 to $1,000. The main reason because I wouldn't see how much damage there was until I actually inspected the car. And a lot of you will probably ask, why didn't you just inspect it on the spot? And the reason was we were 3 hours away from home in a super sketchy neighborhood and I wasn't trying to stay around in the area. So after we got home, step 2 was assessing the damage and kind of just seeing what we needed to replace. So after we got the car, we started making a list of what we needed to get it back to new. So the goal for the car was to finish it as cheap as possible. This meant buying functional parts secondhand. For example, Pick and Pull, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. These are all places where discounted parts can maximize your profit margins. Or another way is through your uncle who knows a guy. That's only if you know a guy. Anyways, here's a quick list on what we needed to replace. The headlight bracket, the metal piece that holds the headlight, I don't know what the name is. Fender, hood, bumper, windshield wiper tank, bumper fog light, control arm, wheel bearing, windshield, and a bunch of miscellaneous plugs and parts along the way. And although it seemed pretty simple, there was one last problem: registration. He had 5 months expired registration, which is a lot of money. And there's really no way around it. So I ended up paying $600 just for registration, which sucked, but there's no way around it legally. So step 3 was actually fixing the car. So in order to see the damage, we needed all the body parts off. So that's the first thing I did. I took all the body parts off and assessed the damage. Then went to cheap auto body shops, Pick and Pulls, and found parts for good prices. The first thing I needed was the front end to be pulled out. It was pushed in about 1 inch, and although it wasn't far off, it was far enough to create imperfections in the panels, which I didn't want. Alright, this is attempt 1 of pulling out the frame. That's what it's supposed to look like, and that's what it looks like. It's like literally like 1 inch off, maybe a little more. Kind of depends what you're looking at. But yeah, so we just need to pull this to this. Yeah, about 1 inch off. We're gonna hook under it, just pull it a little, see what we can do. Because yeah, it looks like it crumpled here and also crumpled on the inside. So yeah, just gonna hit it with a hammer, pull it with the truck, let's see what we can do. At first, I wanted to take it to the frame shop and to get it pulled, but then my dad was like, hold my CMSQ, bro. He hooked it up to the winch, and I honestly didn't think it would work until he pulled that out and it worked. And that's why you always listen to your parents, guys. Then, I was able to start on the part that was the most hassle, which was the metal headlight bracket. It aligns the bumper, the fender, and the hood perfectly with the headlight, and it needed to be perfectly spaced in there. I actually messed up this part, but more on that later. So after everything was welded, boom, welded, boom, boom, top is welded, boom, everything's screwed in, everything fits. Let's put on the fender, headlight, crash bar, boom, we're done. Let's go. Let's do it. I started fitting stuff up. First the fender, then the hood, and lastly the bumper. Then I realized what I had forgot about, the grill. So I went on eBay and I ordered the grill. I then fit everything, but I had a slight problem. Remember I welded the headlight bracket? Well, I welded it wrong. Although the headlight fit, the bumper wouldn't due to me welding it wrong. So I did what any person would do and I gave up. I took it to my uncle and he fixed everything. The windshield, the headlight, he painted everything. He even buffed the headlights for me. Honestly, I couldn't do it without him. So after the car was perfectly fixed up and in great shape, I posted the car on Facebook and I sold it for a profit of, drumroll please, $2,000, which seems like a good amount, but all that work I did took me about 2 months, which I'm still grateful for, but it won't be replacing my job anytime soon. So that was back in December. It is currently April right now. So back in February, I was actually scrolling Facebook Marketplace and I saw a red WRX. Although it isn't my dream car, it is a car I would love to own. It's a 4-cylinder, it's turboed, it's all-wheel drive, it's manual, it's just an amazing car. And I saw this red one and it was really cheap. It only had 60k miles, but there was a couple issues. The engine was locked up, the front and back windshield were shattered, and it sat for 10 years like that. Well, let's just say I know a guy. But let's just say my uncle knows a guy. But that's for the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.